Presented below is this analysis for Surah Yunus so that a complete glimpse of it can be gauged. Analysis of meanings. Verses 1 to 2, sorrow is expressed at the attitude of the Quraysh regarding the Quran. It was befitting for them to give due importance to these verses of wisdom that were revealed by the Almighty to a person among them. They inform the disbelievers of their evil fate and given glad tidings of a high rank to the believers. On the contrary, the sending of a bearer of warnings and glad tidings from among them is weighing down heavily on these disbelievers. Thus they regard him to be a magician. Verses 3 to 4, God is everyone's Lord. He has created the heavens and the earth and he alone is running their affairs. None can intercede before him without his permission. Everyone will return to him. With full justice, he will immensely reward those who have professed faith and done righteous deeds. For the disbelievers is the punishment of hell. Verses 5 to 10, evidence from the signs found in the heavens and the earth is presented to show that this world is not a place of amusement or entertainment. Those who reflect believe that a day of justice will come after it. Only they are negligent of this fact who do not reflect on these signs and are engrossed in the pleasures of this world. The abode of such people is hell. God will admit those who believed and did righteous deeds into the orchards of bliss because of their faith. There they will be jubilant on their success and will congratulate one another. They will also express gratitude to God for receiving these favors in their ultimate form. Verses 11 to 12, if God gives respite to the rebellious in this world, then it is for a reason. He shows haste in showing mercy but not so in sending his wrath. Had this been the case as well, the rebellious would have been long gone. On the contrary, he gives such people the chance to fully go astray in their wrongdoings and so that they are conclusively delivered the truth. Their rebelliousness and arrogance is a testimony to their meanness. Such are human beings that if even slightly does God make them pass through hardships, they turn to him in every state, whether lying down, sitting to standing. However, if they are given even a slight respite by him, it seems that neither were they ever tested nor did they ever plead before God. Verses 13 to 14, the anecdotes of the previous messengers and their nations are referred to. Why do these people not learn a lesson from them? They have been actually raised up in their place in order to test them with regard to their deeds. So, why would he deal differently with them? Verses 15 to 19, it is stated that the aversion the Quraysh have for monotheism has induced them to demand some other book than the Quran, or at least some changes are made in it that they can accept. The reply given to them by the Prophet SWS is that he is presenting before them God's revelations and he does not have any right to amend them. They know that he has lived a long span of his life among them and during this time has never made any claim to prophethood or initiated preaching. He has not come to them out of his own desire, he is just following orders of God. Had God not directed him, he would never have presented these things before them. At the same time, they are warned on their aversion to monotheism. The beings that they worship and think that they will intercede for them before God do not even exist, they are all figments of their imagination. God is beyond having such partners. The only religion he has sent to people is the religion of monotheism. However, people have created differences in it. Had God not fixed a day for passing his judgment, this dispute would have been decided forthwith. Verses 20 to 23, the demand of the Quraysh for a sign of punishment is alluded to. In response to this demand, it is stated that a prophet is not authorized to show such a sign. Only God has this prerogative. Only he knows whether a sign will appear or not and the time it will. It is the arrogance found in human beings that they demand punishment. The fact is that such is their cowardice that if they are seized by God even slightly, they plead to him and promise to be grateful if they are delivered. However, when God does deliver them, they again resort to defiance and rebelliousness. Verses 24 to 27, a parable of the temporary nature of this world is cited. The disbelievers think that how can they ever lose their power and affluence? However, every other day, they observe rain causing the land to become lush green, orchards and crops become luxuriant. Their owners think that who can deprive them of these? But then suddenly a wave of God's torment descends at night or day and totally ravages these things. The abode of peace is with God alone and he invites people to it. However, only the fortunate tread his path. It is these people whose faces will be radiant in the hereafter. As for those who remained engrossed in the pleasures of this world, there will be none to save them from God and their faces will be as dark as the darkness of a dark night. Verses 28 to 36, in the hereafter, the disbelievers and those whom they worship will be distanced from one another. The worshipped will express their aversion from them and show their unawareness on being worshipped. On that day, each person will only encounter his own deeds and everyone will be brought forth before the actual deity, God. The disbelievers are told that if they regard only God to be the creator, sustainer, master and the giver of life and death, then they should also regard him to be their Lord. If in spite of the clear truth that has come to them they regard some else to be their Lord, then they have really gone astray. Do their hypothetical deities have any share in the creation and administration of this world as well as providing guidance to people because of which they associate them in the rights of God? These are mere conjectures which will be of no avail to them against the truth. Verses 37 to 44, this Quran has not been concocted. Its prophecies are found in the previous scriptures. It has come to confirm these prophecies and actually explains what they briefly allude to. There is no doubt that it is a divine scripture. If the disbelievers say that the Prophet SWS has fabricated it himself and then falsely ascribed it to God, then he should ask them to bring a single surah like it. For this task, they can even try to ask their deities to help them if they can. In actuality, they are denying something whose reality has not come before them. They are in fact following the footsteps of previous nations who had similarly denied. So, the Prophet SWS should show patience and wait for the fate they will meet. Furthermore, he should rest assured that those who have the ability are professing faith in this book. As for the blind and deaf, they will neither listen to him nor is he responsible for them. He should declare their acquittal from them. They have reached this state themselves because of their deeds. God has not been unjust to them. Verses 45 to 58, the disbelievers are asking to hasten the promised punishment. The fact is that when it arrives, they will think that their own lifespan was not more than a brief period of time. Only God knows when this punishment will visit them. It may come in the Prophet's lifetime or it may descend later. However, it is an indubitable reality that when a messenger is sent to a nation, its fate is necessarily decided in this world. If they ask the Prophet SWS about the punishment's time of arrival, he should tell them that he does not have knowledge of the unseen and that he also does not have any authority of giving benefit or inflicting harm on people. He only knows that a time is prescribed for every nation. Once this time expires, it is not given the slightest respite. If these people are in such a hurry, then the Prophet SWS should ask them what resources do they have to combat God's punishment. At that time, even professing faith for them would be of no use. When that time comes, every soul would like to redeem itself from the punishment by giving all the treasures of the world if it can get hold of them. So why are they calling for their doom? Why do they not accept the great favor God has given them in the form of the Quran? All the luxuries of life are trivial before it. Verses 59 to 70, do people who have set up baseless partners and intercessors before God think that he will be unjust to them? He in fact is very gracious to his creatures. It is the latter who show ingratitude and pass judgment on behalf of others over the prohibition or allowance regarding the favors they are blessed with from God. The Prophet SWS and his companions are sounded assurance that God is with them at every step. God's friends have nothing to fear or grieve about. There are glad tidings for them in this world as well as in the hereafter. God's promises are certain to be fulfilled. Honor is for God alone. Those who worship others besides God only worship their speculations. Verses 59 to 70, the night and day have been created by God and whatever is in the heavens and the earth belongs to him. He is self-sufficient and has no partners or equals. Those who have set up his partners out of their own desire do not have any proof for their existence. On the day of judgment, they will face a stern punishment. Verses 71 to 93, historical evidence is cited in favor of the facts presented earlier. The anecdotes of prophets from Noah SWS to Moses SWS are briefly referred to. The Prophet SWS and his companions are urged that the circumstances they are facing from his nation are the same as the ones faced by previous prophets from their respective nations. Thus if he and his companions show steadfastness and trust in God the way earlier prophets and their companions did, God will make them succeed in this world and in the next too. Their opponents will meet the same fate as those of Noah SWS and Moses SWS. Verses 94 to 103, while addressing the Prophet SWS, Muslims are urged that the outburst of their adversaries should not cause any doubts in their minds about this book revealed to him from God. It is the truth and the good among the people of the book also bear witness to this. Those who are denying it are facing God's law because of their deeds. However many signs they are shown, they will not accept faith unless they see the decisive punishment. When a nation faces God's law, it does not accept faith. It is only the nation of Jonah SWS which was delivered when it was about to face God's punishment. It professed faith when the punishment was about to arrive and was saved by God. Believers should keep this in mind, that God wants people to use their intellect and then profess faith, and not by being compelled to it after seeing the signs of punishment. If God wanted to compel people to faith, it was very easy for him to do so. However, he did not choose this. Only they are willing to accept faith who use their intellect and insight. Those who gather heaps of filth on their hearts do not have the urge to accept faith. The greatest of signs do not benefit such people. These people only wait for that decisive punishment to arrive which the previous nations have faced. The Prophet SWS should tell them to wait for it, and he also will wait for it. Verses 104 to 109. The Prophet SWS makes a decisive declaration before his adversaries. If anyone has any doubts about his religion, they should fully understand that he does not worship what they worship, he only worships the one and only God. He is told to adhere to this monotheism. This is because causing harm and benefit is in the hands of God. Others have no say in this. It is declared through the tongue of the Prophet SWS that the truth has come from God and he has delivered it to people. He who now accepts guidance will benefit from it, and he who goes astray will bear its consequences. The Prophet SWS is not responsible for the faith of anyone. At the end, he is told to follow divine revelations and hold fast to them until the decision of God arrives, because he is the best of those who decide.